नित्यानन्देश्वरसमारम्भां नित्यानन्देश्वरिमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. I welcome all the visitors, viewers, devotees, disciples, Samajis, Satsangis, owners of Sarvanyapita, Sri Mahants, Mahants, Kotaris, Tanedars, everyone sitting with us all over the world, this time through Nityananda TV and Sadhana TV, Ara TV, Nakshatra TV, and through two-way video conferencing, having Nayana Diksha all over the world. Cities sitting with us in two-way video conferencing, having Nayana Diksha, Puduvai Adinam, St. Louis Adinam, Hyderabad Guptakashi, Trinidad Tobago, Houston Adinam, Maurice Plains, New Jersey, Nityananda Nagara Vididi, Bangalore North, Rajabalayam Adinam, Los Angeles Adinam, Guadalupe Rameshwaram, Ohio Adinam, Seattle Adinam, Oklahoma Adinam, Kuala Lumpur Adinam, Vancouver, Canada, Toronto Adinam, Ma Shivananda, San Jose Adinam, and some more cities are joining. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. Today, fourth day of Navaratri and third day of Venkateshwara Brahmotsavam, Devi is gracing in the form of Bhuvaneshwari in Varanasi, Nityananda Sabha. In Bididi, Devi is gracing in the form of Annapurani. Bhuvaneshwari is the form in which I myself had the darshan of Devi. I myself experienced Devi. At the age of 10, I had darshan of Devi in this very form. Let's first offer our respects to Devi and Venkateshwara, then enter into satsang. In Bididi, Venkateshwara is gracing on Simhavahana, Swarana Simha, Golden Simha lion vehicle. Let's enter into today's satsang. At the age of 10, in Arunachaleshwara temple, in the shrine Sannidhi of Devi Unnamulayamman, I was standing in one corner. Suddenly I saw the cosmic geometrical representation. That time I did not know the word, only now, later on I came to know it is Sri Yantra in the golden, shining, absolute energy light form. And then Devi appeared in this very form. She is gracing now with Lakshmi and Saraswati. When I had darshan, I saw only Devi, Bhuvaneshwari. Here she is gracing with Lakshmi and Saraswati. There, when I had darshan, I saw her only this form, the Angusha and Pasha and Abhaya and Varada. It's just too much. Too much. Slowly, that very geometry and that form both disappeared into my inner space. Then I went back to home, carved the deity as I experienced in the stone, carved the Devi the same way I saw in stone, and carved that Sri Chakra the same way I saw in copper plate. This happened. You can see the yantra I carved after the darshan at the age of 10. And this is the deity of the Devi. This is the deity of the Devi I carved at the age of 10. Actually, this happened during Navaratri time only. I do not know whether it happened exactly on the 4th day, 5th day and all that, but during the Navaratri time, let me enter into the Upanishad, Isavasya Upanishad. I was expanding continuously. Today I'll continue to expand on 16th verse. Recite along with me. Pushanne karshe Yamasurya Prajapatya Vyuharashmin Samoha Tejo Yatte Rupam Kalyanatamam Tatte Pashyami Yosavasau Purushaha Sohamasmi. The translation goes, O Pushan, consciousness, who is the nourisher, sustainer of all, the primeval, solitary traveler, the disciplining principle of all, is like the bright effulgent sun and is the Lord of entire creation, which is his subject. Please remove all your rays of this radiating, brilliant golden light which had blinded me, so that by your grace I can have the divine vision of that most auspicious, graceful, beautiful form of yours. That which is there, the glorious sun, is the mirror of the Supreme Being, who is all-pervading, pure consciousness of the cosmos. Indeed, I am He. Sohamasmi. Understand the power of truth the pristine, uncompromised, with no if and but, a clear, straightforward, direct understanding of truth adds so much of powerfulness, energy, ecstasy, excitement, liberation in your inner space. With a deep prayer you can say, I am He. Understand? The prayerfulness does not mean you need to become powerless beggar in front of some supreme energy. See here, the 15th verse and 16th verse, Rishis were so humble. The Upanishadic Rishi is declaring, O Deva, O Bhushan, please remove the veil, and I need to experience you as you are. Such a deep prayerfulness, even in this verse. It is so clear. Prajavatya vyugarasmin samoga tejo yatte rupam kalyanadamam tatte vashyami. By your grace, let me have the divine vision of you. It's a deep prayer, but ultimately the Rishi knows he is not powerless. Just because he is praying, he is not separate from the whole. It is like when your right hand wants to do something, ask the support of your eyes to see and give information. For example, your right hand wants to carve a statue. It asks the support of your eyes, saying, "Oh eyes, please see and give me the information so that I can carve exactly as the statue is." Please understand, your own eyes, your own hands requesting something from your own eyes does not mean your hands are separate from your eyes. Rishis had the ultimate understanding. The hand may be praying to the eye, but both are from the same source and same. Both are activated, kept alive, brought to life by the same force from the same source. Pushaneka risheyama surya prajavatya vyugarasmin samugha tejo yatte rupam kalyanadamam datte pashyami yosavasau purushaha sohamasmi. Understand the beauty of the way Sanatana Hindu Dharma teaches prayer. There is no powerlessness, no place for powerlessness. Even when you pray, you are not separate. You are not separate from the source. You are not away from the source. Even when you are praying, remembering that I am He, I tell you, this one truth, the thought current, will be so useful for all of you. Please understand. Even when you pray, you should know you are not separate from the divine to whom you are praying. Even when you pray, you need to know you are not separate from the prayer to whom the prayer is offered. Listen. Who is praying and the prayer to whom prayer is offered, all the three are from the same source. I am trying to decode the inner space of the rishis and reproduce it in all of you. That will give you so much understanding about the concept of prayer in Sanatana Hindu Dharma. You don't pray to somebody who is far away. He may be further away or farther away, but not far away. Understand, there's a big difference between these two. The inner image you assume even while you are praying is not a lower inner image, a inauthentic identity. Even when you have not realized the oneness with the cosmos, even when you are practicing, doing sadhana, prayer, to achieve the cosmic oneness, you are one with cosmos. That is reminded as the undercurrent. Never at any point, never at any moment, the separation is recognized in Sanatana Hindu Dharma. Because that is not the truth. That is not the reality. Even when you think you have not achieved the oneness with the cosmos, even when you think you are not become a realized, enlightened, living Advaita, you are one. The absolute truth is truth even when you practice the truth, even when you are doing your sadhana. Please understand, this truth need to be remembered. This one thought current need to be understood. This sacred truth need to be realized. This sacred secret need to be revealed to you. It will help you in a big way, even for doing third eye awakening and blindfold reading, which many of you are practicing. Understand? Even when you are practicing, you may not have realized it. You may be only practicing. Even at that time, The truth is absolute. You are living Advaita. You are living the truth. If you think you need to achieve it by your prayer, you are wrong. You only need to remove the obstacles through your prayer. It exists. Nothing new need to be created. It exists. Even when you are practicing third eye, remember one thing. You only need to complete and drop the incompletions happens to you now. Whatever incompletion comes now, drop it. Don't plan to drop the incompletions which may come in the whole future, because incompletions may come in the future itself is an illusion. If you are trying to fight with the illusion, how are you going to win? Drop that illusion directly. Don't try to work into that illusion. The moment you try to work into that illusion, you are gone. It's like you are caught by the trap laid by the enemy. I have seen in some of the press meets, some of the journalists will put the question in such a way, whether you say yes or no, you are trapped. Both the way you are trapped. The moment you engage with that question, you are gone. Over. Same way, the moment you engage with the fear, incompletions may come. What will I do at that time? Over. You are gone. Whether you have the confidence, I can drop it at that time also, or you have the feeling, I may not be able to drop it at the time, in both the way, you are gone. Even if you say, I can drop at that time also, then immediately one part of your mind say, who knows, how many times we tried, never succeeded. Come on. How do you say, for sure, you will be able to drop in future? You are gone. You are caught in the wrong argument. You want to go for your office, but you are caught in the argument in your house about the lunch, what should be cooked. So you are stuck in the dining table. You will not even go to the office. If you are stuck in the argument in the dining table about your lunch, what you should take in the office. Finally, what lunch? Even for dinner, you will be sitting in the same dining table. You will never go to the office. But because you are stuck in the wrong space, in the wrong argument. Understand this one example. Everyone will immediately understand, connect with it. The moment the thought, insecurity about the future incompletions comes up, whether I will be able to handle them in the future or not, the moment that comes up, be informed. The moment that comes up, you are getting into the argument with your spouse, which you are never going to win. Understand? Always you enter into the argument with excitement and vengeance of earlier defeat. That time I lost, not now. Now I have all the arguments prepared, equipped, ready. AK-47, 57, whether it is 47, 57 or 97. Even by getting into the argument, you lost the game. Because the purpose will not be achieved by the argument. Understand? The moment you entertain or cherish the insecurity, will I be able to handle my incompletions comes up in the future. Now I know I can drop it and do the blindfold reading, but will I be able to do the same thing when I go back and try to do demo to my boss? My boss, the very sight is irritating, very presence is agitating. Just like Swamiji has a positive presence, my boss has a negative presence to double the breathing space. Sometimes people tell me, Swamiji, my boss presence is so long, so vast. How the moment we enter the ashram and feel your presence, same way the moment I enter into the parking lot of my office, I can feel my boss presence. You will feel, oh God, in the presence of my boss, all the incompletion comes up. Will I be able to handle? I tell you, the moment you get into engage with this argument, whether you say yes or no, even if you have the confidence, no, I can handle, I'll handle, you are fighting with delusion. And if you think, no, I can't handle, you are losing to the delusion. Whether you fight, whether you win or lose with the delusion, you lost, because the delusion should not be engaged. You should not engage with the delusion. That's the only way you will win the game with the delusion. Remember, if you can drop your incompletions now, the present moment, all the future moments are going to come only as a present moment. You can drop, you can drop, you can drop, you can drop. You can go on dropping. Now listen, I'm going to connect what I said now and the Advaita. Listen to this component. No, don't miss it. In the ordinary prayers, you always feel to whom you are praying is different, all powerful, and you weak, powerless. This assumption itself, you will lose the game. This assumption itself, even if you are given whatever you are praying for, you lost the game, because forever you will only be praying and receiving in the space of a beggar, because you establish that is what as your identity. I tell you, when you start with the low self-image, inner image, and pray to some all-powerful God, if your prayers are not attended, good for you. Otherwise, you will be established in that stupid attitude. Yes, even if your prayers are attended, you may have little money, some relationships, health, few things, but forever you are a beggar. And the person who gave always can take it away. So you are always in the insecurity. Understand, the so-called superficial, stupid, immature understanding about prayer, cognition about prayer, whether you get what you are asking or did not get what you are asking, you are trapped, gone, you are a failure. The right attitude to pray is explained in this verse by Upanishadic rishis. You need to know, however low you may feel with your self inner image, however great you may feel your God is, you need to remember the absolute reality. Both are from the same source. Both are from the same source. Only with this clarity, your prayer will become reality. Please understand. With this clarity, whether your prayer is answered or not, you will win the game. In the delusion, whether it is answered or not, you lose the game. I tell you, sometime your prayer not getting answered is good for you. Not sometime, most of the time. Because the attitude from which you pray and the perception you have about life is so stupid. God is great because He doesn't answer many of your stupid prayers. Otherwise, your life would have been a worst mess. No, really. It would have been a worst mess. Playing the role of an insider only gave me the intelligence. Oh God, if all the prayers of these people attended, what will happen? The mess they will create for themselves and others. Each one will become like one Ravana. And then the mess created by one incarnation, 2000 or 3000 incarnations have to come to clean it up. If your prayers are answered, understand, if you are having the context and the attitude of low self-image, inner image, and God is great, huge, and both of you are separate, if your prayers are answered, you will get established and stuck in this same attitude. That is the worst failure. It is like you forget your beautiful glowing skin just for the exchange of receiving a small sari pin. It's like somebody says, I'll give you one sari pin, but I'll take away the memory of your glowing skin you have. What a stupid bargain. I'll give you 2000 rupee, but I'll take away the knowledge you have to earn money for your whole life. What a stupid bargain. So when you are with the wrong attitude, powerless inner image, and pray to some ultimate God, if He gives what you ask, that's the worst thing can happen to you, because the moment He gives, you look at only, wow, my prayer works. Then what I am thinking about me and what I am thinking about God, both are right. So everything, all the zigzag puzzle is matching. So when the result is there, my whole thought current is right. And that is the biggest curse can happen to you. Just for the sake of washing machine, losing your life. Or just for the sake of a painting, losing your eyes. Just to learn few steps dancing, losing both your legs. Absolute stupidity. Even if you are going to be given $1 billion, don't lose your powerful inner image. Powerful, real true understanding about you, the Advaitic understanding about you. Because if that one is there, what billion, trillions, you can make anything. You can make planets out of your feet dust. But if you miss that, if you think, no, if I give up my inner image and become a weak, powerful, weak, powerless, surrendering, oh God, oh God, oh God, I'm going to be given $1 billion. Why not let me do that? After all, I'm doing this all the time in front of my boss. Let me do it in front of God. Understand? Boss is okay because you can throw him out after the work. But if you establish this attitude with the God, you can't even throw him out because you will be stuck with that attitude. Even when you pray, be very clear to whom you are praying. And the prayer, who is praying, all the three are from the same source. See the clarity of the rishis. Sohamasmi. Where he is telling this? After intensely praying. Understand? Yes, I am awakening your third eye, but you and me are from the same source. You, me, and this technology of awakening your third eye, all three are from same source. Only with that Advaitic clarity, your practice itself will be beautiful and the perfection also useful. If you become powerless, oh, powerless receiver, I am a useless, powerless guy, and Guru is all powerful, please give me. When you are stuck with that powerlessness, even if I give, you will ever be a beggar, which is not right. Understand? What I am giving, who I am and who you are, all three are from same source. With this understanding, when you receive it, it is permanently good for you. Not temporary, permanently good for you. Understand? Everything received from the Advaitic understanding only should be cherished, celebrated, lived. Anything which did not come from the Advaitic understanding, throw it in the dustbin as early as possible. The earlier you throw it, better for you, good for you, great for you. That is why I always insist, even when you receive healing, receive it from an enlightened being. From an enlightened being. Don't go to the stupid Reiki, Pranik, all these stupidopathy healers. There are now tons of stupidopathies. Now, any word comes from your mouth, that becomes a brand. Jilk healers, jink healers, junk healers, I don't know what all the... Please don't, because even if you receive, the attitude in which you are established may become dangerous to you. Understand? That is the difference between gods and demigods. Demigods may give you what you want, but they will not give you the intelligence. They and you are one and the same. The gods only will give you what you want, and the intelligence, they and you are one and the same. When Mahadeva gives, Not only He gives what you want, He gives the understanding of the reality, experience of the reality. You and He is one and the same. When He gives what you want, along with it, He sends the experience of Shivoham also. Both come in one package. Two in one package. When He gives you third eye awakening, not only He gives you the power of third eye, He gives you the clarity of Shivoham. Both are one and the same. Never be a beggar, even in front of God, because anything makes you beggar is not worthy to be entertained in your life. Understand? The real God never makes you beggar. He makes you powerful. Only when you don't stand up to become powerful, want to continue to be in your cozy blanket of begging, stupid, powerless inner image, He shakes you. He becomes Kala Bhairava. He becomes Kala Bhairava not to destroy you, but to remind you about your powerfulness. He catches your throat and lifts you, not to kill you, but to make you understand you don't need to breathe only through the nose. You can breathe using the whole body. But when He lifts you by the throat, you say, ah, ah, ah. He's killing me, He's killing me, He's killing me. Relax. You can breathe through your hands, legs, all over your body. Don't act human. Don't act human is the slap given to everybody by Kala Bhairava. That is why the Kala Bhairava Ashtaka beautifully says, Nityam Advitiyam Ishta Daivatam Niranjanam. Nityam Advitiyam, oneness, eternal oneness. Nityam Advitiyam Ishta Daivatam Niranjanam is in eternal oneness with you and the cosmos. He is the best enjoyable God and He is Niranjana. The whole line is so beautiful. Nityam, Advitiyam, Ishtadaivam, Niranjanam. All the four words are amazing. Understand? Worship only the gods. Not only who give you what you want, but give you the true reality of you and He is one and the same. Even if you get what you want, don't go to the demigods who don't allow the Advaita to happen, who don't give you the Advaitic experience. Because just to have a painting, you should not lose your eyes. Just to have a painting, you should not give up your legs. Just to have some things in the life, you should not lose the life itself, which comes only by powerful inner image. If you lose the powerful inner image and become powerless in your inner image and become a beggar, even if you receive what you ask, you will not have life to enjoy what you asked, what you got. First and foremost, the God should be giving you what you asked and the experience of oneness. I tell you, don't go to the God who doesn't give oneness, Advaita with you, and Don't go to Guru who doesn't teach you oneness with him. Be very clear. The real God gives you what you want and the oneness with him. The real Guru gives you what you want and oneness with him. This verse is very clear. Just because I am praying, I am not away from you. I am you. Sohamasmi. I may be praying, but I am you. Sohamasmi. Remember this keyword, Sohamasmi. Today's subject for Vakyartha Sadas. Right attitude for prayer. Reality you need to be established even while praying. Subject today for Vakyartha Sadas. I bless you all. Let everyone here radiate with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching, causing, living Advaita, the eternal bliss, Nityananda. Thank you. Be blissful.
Nityananda Dhyanapitham, Nityananda Nagar, off Mysore Road, Bidadi, Bengaluru. Phone 08027279999. www.nityananda.org. www.youtube.com/Life Bliss Foundation.